For this video, we're going to focus on determining if a given point is on a unit circle, or maybe if we're given a point that's missing an x or a y value, figuring out what that x or y value must be in order to make it a point on a unit circle. Just real quickly here, when it comes to starting off learning trig, there's typically two approaches that you can take in learning trig. The first way is taking the unit circle approach, or you may have learned trig with right triangle geometry type thing. Both are very valid. You definitely need to understand both ways in doing things to be successful in trig and pre-calc and calculus. For right now, we're going to focus on the unit circle approach, specifically just talking about what points are on the unit circle. Now, when we talk about the unit circle, we are talking about a circle that has its center at the origin, 0, 0, that has a radius of a 1. The equation for this circle would then be x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. So if we need to answer the question, is the given point, whatever it happens to be, on the unit circle? So you're going to be given a coordinate. Is this on the unit circle or not? So is it on the edge of this circle somewhere, or is it some other random point that's anywhere else but not on the edge of the circle here? So if we want to answer this question, all we're going to do is take that point, the point that they gave us is made up of an x and a y value here, and we're going to plug it into this equation here. We're going to plug in the 12 over 13 into x. We're going to plug in the 5 over 13 into y to determine if this is indeed on a unit circle or not. So the first thing we have is x squared. Our x is 12 thirteenths squared plus our y squared is equal to 1. And just see if this is valid or not. If we square this first one, well, 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169. Plus, squaring the other fraction, well, 5 times 5 is 25. 13 times 13 is 169. And that's all going to equal 1. Our common denominator is 169. And if we take 144 plus 25, we get 169. So we are left with 169 over 169, which we should know is equal to 1. And we are left with 1 equals 1. Because we are left with this, and this is true, 1 does equal 1, that means that yes, the point 12 thirteenths, 5 thirteenths would lie on this unit circle. What if we need to find the numbers that would make a given point on the unit circle? So like we're given this example here, we're told that our x value is u, our y value is negative 1/3. We need to find what value for u, for our x, would make this point on the given unit circle. So unit circle, once again, x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. We're going to plug in what we know. Right, our x, we're going to go ahead and label it u, just because that's what they used here. Right, so we're going to say that that's u squared plus our y squared. Well, y is the negative 1/3, and that is equal to 1. So we're just going to solve this equation for u so that we can wrap up that point here. In order for us to solve this equation for u here, we're going to square the negative 1/3. Negative times negative is positive. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 3 is 9, so we get 1/9 when we square that out. Subtract the 1/9 to the other side. Again, you can do that calculation by hand, or you can go ahead and throw that into the calculator. If I change 1 into a 9 over 9 and subtract the 1/9 from it, I am left with 8/9, right? So 1 minus 1/9 is 8/9. Take the square root of each side, and that's going to give us what u is equal to. If we take the square root of the left, we are square root, square cancels, we are left with u. Square root of the right, so if you take the square root of 8/9, it's the same thing as taking the square root of the numerator, square root of the denominator. Square root of 8, keep in mind, square root of 8 is the same thing as square root of 4 times 2. The square root of 4 is a 2, drop down the square root of 2. All right, so the square root of 8, just the numerator part, is 2 square roots of 2. Now in the denominator, the square root of 9 is a 3. That is a perfect square. We can take the square root of that. Don't forget your plus or minus because we are taking the square root. So it is a plus or minus there. So that means u is either a positive 2 square roots of 2 over 3 or a negative 2 square roots of 2 over 3, which means there are two u's that would make this point be on the unit circle. So kind of just think about it. If we had a negative 1 and a point up here, positive 1 and a point up here, a unit circle is symmetrical, so you would have a value for the positive and the negative here. So technically our 2 points are 2 square roots of 2 over 3, comma, the negative 1/3 that they gave us, and then negative 2 square roots of 2 over 3, comma, negative 1/3 there. So those are the two values that would make this point be on this unit circle.